my darling viewers, it's Jen here at Chuck Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Feathers by Jacqueline Woodson. This is a children's book that is set in the 1970s, and it follows Frannie, who is kind of questioning her world for the first time. So she's growing up and she's starting to see the world differently. A big part of this book is this mysterious boy that joins her class who looks white and has like long brown hair, and her classmates start calling him Jesus Boy. She lives in a black African American community, so being white makes him stand out quite a bit. But Jesus Boy is not what he appears. He keeps telling everybody that he's not white, and Frannie sets out to kind of figure this kid out. He's not what she expected, and she sees him a little bit differently than everybody else in the class. She's also got this relationship with her best friend. Her best friend, Samantha, has found religion. Like, her dad is a preacher, and all of a sudden, Samantha, everything that's going on with her is about God and religion and Jesus, and Samantha is convinced that Jesus Boy might actually be the second coming of God. And Frannie's also trying to piece that together because she's not from a particularly religious family. And she loves Samantha, they're best friends, but their relationship's kind of getting a little rocky as Samantha becomes kind of overboard in the religion factors. And then she also starts seeing her older brother Sean in a different light. Her older brother Sean is deaf and communicates in ASL. And Sean kind of has this one foot in the door in this deaf community where he goes to a school with all people who can't hear. But then at home, like, he's got a family who speaks ASL with him, but he feels like he kind of has a foot in both worlds. And so he talks about, like, this bridge connecting the two and how he wishes the bridge, like, it was more substantial. Frannie, like, watches him with all these hearing girls, because he's gorgeous, who, like, start flirting with him, and as soon as they find out that he can't hear and talk, they're done with him. And Frannie is just questioning, like, how stupid these girls are. Like, all you have to do is kind of work at it. You could learn sign language, you could figure out other ways to communicate, and they're just so quick to judge him. And so Frannie is taking a look at her world and how she views and categorizes everything. They're studying this poem in school by Emily Dickinson, and the quote from that is, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all." And so she starts thinking about hope and her life being this light, feathery thing that kind of floats. I love this book, but it kind of doesn't have a coherent plot to it. It kind of is more like a snapshot of Frannie's life at this point and what's going on, and of this coming of age story, but also not too much a coming of age story. Like, I think she's about to hit puberty because she starts kind of liking guys and paying attention to dating now, but she's also not at that point where she's ready to go do that stuff on her own. And she's at this part where she feels like she has one foot in childhood and also one foot in adulthood right now. And so bridges are kind of a theme throughout this book, as well as the feathers, and it takes place in winter. There's lots of snow and kind of the gently falling, and how that kind of looks like feathers falling. There's some definite imagery going on here, which is really well done. I love Jacqueline Woodson's writing and the way that she describes things. But because there's no coherent plot, I was having trouble kind of going one chapter to the next. Like, it's super easy to finish a section and a chapter, but she kind of learns a few different lessons throughout this book, and once she learns a lesson, to kind of just stop. And then it also felt abrupt when the book finally does end, and it's just like, we're good, that's it, end of the story. And I'm like, what? I'm not done. This book is only 118 pages in this edition also, so it's really short. There's also kind of a plot thread going on with her parents. Her mom is pregnant again, but she's miscarried and lost children a lot, like a few times, and so she is kind of apprehensive about this child because she's getting older. She's in, like, I think her 40s or something, and the older she gets, it's even less likely the baby's going to be carried to term, and so she wants another child, but she's also kind of apprehensive about this baby coming. And we see Frannie piecing that together and how that fits into her world, and how her father is constantly he's there in the family, but also he's not a major part of her life because he's off working and trying to support them. Mostly, this is a story about a young African American girl growing up in the 70s trying to figure out her place in life and the world around her. And I liked it. It totally got a solid 3 stars out of me, but nothing in it is so amazing that it makes me want to push it over into a higher rating. So 3 out of 5 stars. It ain't bad. It's enjoyable. I like the time I spent with it. It wasn't enough. There wasn't enough going on. The book wasn't long enough. I wanted more, is what it is. So I am totally gonna find some more Jacqueline Woodson books to read, but I feel like, yeah. So yes, I would recommend this book. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mostly picked this one up because of the older brother who is deaf, but also the book is narrated from Frannie's perspective, so that wasn't a terribly huge part of this book either. It was interesting. And some of the like ASL translations, like I know enough about ASL to know that it doesn't translate straight the way the English does, and that's what happens in here. She describes signs and then translates them into straight English sentences, and it doesn't work with the syntax of ASL being a different language and having different grammar. But I also felt like it was decent. It was good. And Frannie is speaking, and maybe that's how she interprets it in her brain. I don't know. I guess it is. So, yeah. Totally go check out Feathers by Jacqueline Woodson if you are interested. I kind of recommend it. I'm just not super in love with it, so I don't think it's a necessary. Um, so if it sounds interesting, totally check it out, but it's also not like a must read. Eh. So, peace out. I love you guys and keep reading.